You know, it's ironic that the legalist people, you know, they act like they're living their whole lives for God. Right. But here in Galatians, and many. I haven't been able to watch many videos lately, but I know that many brothers and sisters are talking about the book of Galatians, and it's one of my favorite books, always has been, and I do love talking about Galatians too. So let me talk about it a little bit. Maybe I'll make a few other videos on it, but or about it, but so look, the legalist, always thinks that he's like everything he does is like to serve God and stuff, and that he does it because he loves God, etc. But in Galatians, right, these churches, right, because Galatia was a region, not a city, but right onto the churches of Galatia. But anyways, so the Galatians were, they were becoming legalists. And Paul told them, I do not frustrate the grace of God, for if righteousness come by the law, then Christ is dead in vain. Now, a legalist tries to justify themselves through the law. Okay. And so these Galatians, ironically, and even the legalist, ironically, that, because they think they're doing everything for God, right? But ironically, they're living their life like Christ died in vain, like it means nothing, like the cross means nothing to them. And they frustrate the grace of God. And somebody bewitched them, just like somebody bewitched the Galatians. Okay. And ironically, the legalist is always talking about obedience, but the legalist doesn't obey the truth. Okay. And, some legalists are lordshippers who, were never saved. They're just unbelievers, religious unbelievers. And then some legalists got saved and then got, mixed up and start, listen to wolves whispering in their ears and stuff. And in the case of the Galatians, right, these were saved people that were listening to wolves, okay? And they were bewitched. And, Paul asked, are you so foolish, right? But let me put this in modern terms, okay? Are you so foolish is basically like what, are you, stupid or something? That's basically what he's asking them. What, are you, stupid or something? Right? Having begun in the Spirit, are you now made perfect by the flesh? And he asked them, hey, did you receive the Spirit by doing works or by faith? By the works of the law or by the hearing of faith? Now, to begin in the Spirit and then try to go back to your flesh, You know, it, it's like thinking that the crucifixion of Christ was just some emptiness, like it was vanity, that it didn't have a purpose, that it was a failure. It don't be so foolish. Like okay? No man is justified by the law in the sight of God. No man is justified by the law in the sight of God. A little earlier, it talks about how God will justify the heathen through faith, or with the gospel. And later on, how it talks about Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law. Now, don't forget that. You were redeemed from the curse of the law. Lord shippers have never believed that, and Galatianized believers have forgotten that, okay? I mean, even Peter's had to be, Galatians 2:16 is probably one of the more famous verses in the book of Galatians. A lot of evangelists quote it. It's a great verse. Okay, it can definitely be used in evangelism. But sometimes we forget that the context was Paul telling this to Peter. Because in Galatians chapter 2, Paul recounts this story to the Galatians about something that happened with Peter at Antioch. Okay? And also Barnabas, but, where Peter got bewitched first, okay, and then it affected Barnabas, but where Peter was living like a Gentile, but then when some Jews showed up, Peter hypocritically expected the Gentiles to live as the Jews. Okay. And also Peter, sort of thought that the Gentiles were, dirty. Right? Because the religious Jews had this custom of, not eating with Gentiles. And so Peter was like, let me try to find how Paul worded it, right? Including Peter, they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, right? And then he rebuked Peter in front of them all. And so look, if you're trying to be justified by your flesh, if you think your flesh perfects your spirit, if you think you could be justified or sanctified by your flesh, okay, if you think that the glory is in your flesh, or that that there's good in your flesh, or that it's okay for you to frustrate the grace of God because of your flesh, look, if that's you, you're not walking uprightly according to the truth of the gospel. And, in Philippians, Paul talks about how he counted his whole life dung and his supposedly impressive resume in the eyes of religious men. He counted all that dung so that he may win Christ. Okay? So don't frustrate the grace of God for your steaming pile of crap and your disgusting, filthy rag of your dead works. Okay? Look, your best crucified Christ. But thank God that Jesus Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. And that no man is justified by the law in the sight of God. It is evident, for the just shall live by faith. And the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live by them. Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, curseth is every man that hangeth on a tree. And later on he talks about how we would receive the promise of the Spirit, not through our works, by faith. Okay. So don't be stupid or something. Don't be so foolish, thinking that you're made perfect by the flesh. It's by faith. Okay. It says here, "O foolish Galatians," but if it said, "O foolish Protestants, who hath bewitched you, that you should not obey the truth before the eyes of Jesus Christ, before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath been evidently set forth crucified among you," it would still be accurate as a truth, right? Because, well, man, how many Protestants are legalists? Like, pretty much all of them. Anyways, now I'm just rambling. Hopefully this was a blessing to somebody, though.